BookTube. Today we're going to be going through what I'm going to read for BookTube-A-Thon. The first book on the list is a book with yellow on the cover. For this challenge, I chose Perfume. This has been a recommendation by Winx, and I've watched the movie already and really enjoyed the story. The movie takes place in 18th century, I think. Yes, 18th century France, and follows a boy who is born with a acute or very, very heightened sense of smell, and how his indulgences turn to murder. So this is sort of, I think, a murder mystery sort of period piece. I've never heard anything bad about this novel, so this fits into this category. It does have yellow on the cover. It is also a BookTube recommendation, and it is a book to movie adaptation. The next is a book that I read only after dark, and for this I picked Fight Club by Chuck Palahniuk. I've read several other novels. How do people do this without getting glare? This is some sort of magical BookTube art. Anyway, so I really like Chuck Palahniuk. I've read several of his other novels and I've really enjoyed them. Actually have a physical book of this one, which hardly ever happens. I would tell you what it's about, but the first rule of Fight Club is that you don't talk about Fight Club. Number 3 is a book that you discovered through BookTube. And for this, I chose Penelopiad. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I think I am. I'm not sure. Still can't get the cover without a glare either. I like Margaret Atwood. Oryx and Crake is one of my favorite series, and I've heard good things about this novel. It's a retelling of the Odyssey from Penelope's perspective, which I think will be very unique. I also have not read the Odyssey, so that'll be on my TBR, I think, for next month, just to compare the two. So this also fits the 4th category, which is a book by one of your favorite authors. Like I said, Margaret Atwood is one of my favorites. I loved Oryx and Crake. The Handmaid's Tale was great. The Edible Woman was also very good. I think speculative fiction or science fiction is probably my favorite genre to read, and I think she does it very, very well. A book that's older than you, for this I chose Coming Up for Air by George Orwell. The setting is late 1930s England. It's supposed to be sort of comical and follows a salesman who is returning from his, adult life somewhere else to where he grew up after winning a little bit of money. And it's supposed to be a take on what your hometown is like after you've moved away. So I get the impression that this is like 20 years or something after he left. He's got, a wife and 2 kids and has established a career. And it's the difference in perception from what a place was as a child to what a place is as an adult. Not just the evolution of that place over time, but also the way you see things as an adult that you may not have when you were a child. The next challenge is to pick a book that has a movie adaptation. So read the book and then watch the movie. And I'm going to do this for both Perfume and for Fight Club, both of which have movie adaptations. The last challenge is to read 7 total books. For this, I've picked 2 different books because I'm not really sure which one I'll be most in the mood to read. The first book is Journals of the Plague Years, not to be confused with the Defoe more historical account of England during the Black Plague. What this is a novel that was written in the 1980s and is a loose interpretation of the AIDS epidemic. The story is evidently broken up from 4 different perspectives and how this infectious disease played a role in their life. One is a female character who takes the role of heroine, and I don't know how that happens, but that's just kind of the general description that they give. The second is a Christian head of quarantine, so how he, grapples with religion and quarantining people who have been infected. The third perspective is of a soldier in the army of the dead. It's first-hand accounts of the actual war on the ground against the disease. And finally is a scientist who develops what they call a non-commercial vaccine. The afterword by the author is supposed to tie all of these stories into the AIDS epidemic in the 1980s and how the government and the public dealt with not knowing how something was transmitted and the panic that this caused. The next book that I'm potentially considering for this challenge is a middle grade book called The Devil's Arithmetic. In this novel you have a 12-year-old, I believe, young girl who is from modern times and from what I can tell from the synopsis, she wakes up one day and she's in 1942 in Poland as the Germans invade. And she still retains all of her knowledge about what's going to unfold, and it's her interaction with people and her seeing things history firsthand, as well as the mystery of why she's there, how this happened to her, how did she go back in time. And I hope you liked this. If you have any recommendations, or if you've read any of the books that I've listed here, please feel free to leave me a comment below, and I will see you again soon. Bye.